So Snoop Dogg pulled a fast one, a pretty smart one, I should say, when it comes to his arrest record from 1993. And honestly, what we've seen Snoop become, there are probably a lot of people walking around today who don't even know this chapter of Snoop's.
Investigator has identified witnesses who can testify that Davis was not at the scene of that crime. The motion also suggests that someone else may have orchestrated the shooting near the Las Vegas Strip, which happened back in 1996.
Leaked documents that people claim came from federal investigators are stirring up wild talk online. The papers hint at a shocking twist, suggesting there may have been a secret plan connected to Snoop and prison inmates, all tied to rumors that Diddy might have taken a plea deal and revealed information about the long-standing mystery surrounding Tupac's death. The claim floating around says someone with strong ties to Snoop may have been involved in the alleged idea, and the streets started buzzing fast once that rumor hit the internet. But before anyone jumps to conclusions, let's slow this down for a second. The deeper you look into this situation, the stranger the whole story starts to feel. That's because the biggest mystery in hip-hop history was never fully solved, and now the same names from the 1990s are suddenly popping up again in court chatter, prison rumors, and interviews from people who say they were there when everything fell apart. So why are people suddenly putting Snoop, prison drama, and Tupac in the same conversation again? It all circles back to where Diddy is right now and what might happen if he ever decides to talk. As many people already know, Diddy is currently serving time in federal prison at Fort Dix Federal Correctional Institution in New Jersey. It's considered a lower security facility, but it still houses people tied to serious federal cases, which means tensions inside those walls can rise quickly when someone high profile arrives. When a famous figure lands in prison carrying a long list of old rivals, the tension instantly goes up. Recent federal prison records show that Diddy's projected release date is listed as April 25th, 2028, which is a little earlier than some of the estimates that were floating around online right after his sentencing. And that small shift alone sparked a wave of rumors across social media. Whenever a powerful celebrity ends up behind bars and their timeline changes even a little, people immediately start speculating. Folks begin wondering if there are deals happening, testimony being discussed, or quiet cooperation taking place behind closed doors. None of that has been confirmed, but the internet loves filling in the blanks when the story involves someone as famous as Diddy. Recently, footage started circulating that showed Diddy walking through the Fort Dix Federal Correctional Institution while working inside the Prison Chapel Media Library, a place where inmates can borrow movies and religious materials. Seeing the former billionaire music mogul calmly moving through a prison hallway in gray sweats shocked a lot of people because it looked nothing like the powerful image he spent decades building. But the real reason people are watching Diddy so closely right now goes beyond the prison setting. Investigators connected to the Tupac Shakur murder case have once again mentioned his name in discussions, and the moment that name appeared in official records again, the internet started connecting dots that many believed had been buried back in the 1990s. Recent reporting tied to the Tupac Shakur murder trial revealed something that caught a lot of attention. Prosecutors reportedly mentioned Diddy's name multiple times in legal filings connected to the case involving Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man currently facing trial over Tupac's 1996 killing. Some reports claim the music executive's name appeared dozens of times in documents describing the events leading up to the Las Vegas shooting. Now this is where the story suddenly takes a sharp turn. For years, Keefe D has claimed that during the intense East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry, Diddy allegedly offered a $1 million bounty connected to Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight. That feud was one of the most dangerous periods the hip-hop world had ever seen, with tensions running high across the entire industry. According to Keefe D's account, the reward was supposedly meant for members of the Southside Crips, a Los Angeles gang that had ties to several people moving around the rap scene at the time. But he has also claimed that the money he expected after Tupac's death never actually showed up. When you step back and look at the timeline, the situation starts looking even more complicated. If the bounty story was real and someone carried out the attack, the obvious question becomes why the payment never happened and whether someone else behind the scenes might have been pulling the strings. When investigators began re-examining the details years later, they kept circling back to the moment many believe set everything in motion. The night Tupac was shot started with what looked like a random fight, but it later became one of the most talked about moments in hip-hop history, and it all happened inside the MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas. After the Mike Tyson boxing match that night, security cameras inside the MGM Grand captured a moment that would later become legendary in hip-hop history. The footage reportedly showed Tupac Shakur and several members connected to Death Row Records rushing toward a man named Orlando Anderson in the casino lobby and attacking him, turning the scene into a chaotic fight that security and casino staff eventually had to break up. What many people forget about that confrontation is why Tupac reacted so intensely the moment he saw Anderson. According to several insiders from that era, Anderson had recently been accused of taking a death row chain connected to one of the label's affiliates. Back then, those chains were more than jewelry. They symbolized loyalty, reputation, and the pride of the entire death row crew. There were even stories circulating at the time that some people had been targeting death row chains as a way to disrespect the label during the heated East Coast-West Coast rivalry. So when Tupac spotted Anderson that night, some believe he saw it as confronting someone who had publicly disrespected everything his team stood for. That single moment inside a casino lobby may have triggered a chain reaction no one could stop. Just hours after the fight, Tupac was riding through the Las Vegas Strip in a car driven by Suge Knight when a white Cadillac reportedly pulled up beside them at a stoplight. Suddenly, gunfire erupted from the vehicle, sending multiple shots into the passenger side where Tupac was sitting, turning the night into one of the most tragic moments in music history. The rapper was rushed to the hospital, but the injuries were devastating. After 6 days of fighting for his life, Tupac Shakur passed away on September 13th, 1996, leaving fans around the world shocked and heartbroken. His death instantly sparked decades of debate, speculation, and unanswered questions about who truly ordered the attack that ended the life of one of hip-hop's biggest voices. Investigators later concluded that Orlando Anderson was believed to be the gunman inside the Cadillac, and that the shooting was likely retaliation for the beating that happened earlier that night inside the MGM Grand. But the story didn't stop there, because another layer of controversy soon entered the picture. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who has spoken publicly about the case for years, later claimed the attack was connected to a $1 million bounty that he alleged had been offered by Diddy during the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry. Diddy has consistently denied that accusation, but the claim has continued to follow his name for nearly 3 decades. What makes the story even more chilling is that Tupac himself had already warned people that he believed powerful figures in the music world were moving against him. While he was incarcerated at Rikers Island in 1995, Tupac spoke with journalist Kevin Powell in an interview for Vibe magazine and openly accused several individuals connected to the bad boy camp of knowing more about the earlier attack at Quad Studios in New York.
Named every single person that he felt had something to do with this. Obviously, he was making serious allegations about Biggie, about Diddy, about, Fab Five Freddy, Andre Harrell, a whole bunch of.
During that interview, Tupac said something that still echoes through hip-hop culture today. He explained that if anything ever happened to him, he wanted people to hear his side and understand what he believed was happening behind the scenes. At the time, a lot of fans brushed off Tupac's warnings as paranoia fueled by the intense rap rivalries of the 1990s, but after Tupac was killed just a year later, those words suddenly felt very different. What once sounded like heated talk in the middle of a music feud started to look like a warning that people hadn't taken seriously. Then another tragedy struck and the timeline started looking even darker. Just 6 months after Tupac's death, the hip-hop world was shaken again when Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace was shot and killed in Los Angeles. The news spread instantly and speculation exploded across the industry, with many people believing his death could have been retaliation connected to Tupac's killing. Even today, investigators and journalists still debate whether the two tragedies were directly linked or if they were separate acts of violence that came out of the same dangerous atmosphere surrounding the rap industry during that era. The rivalry between camps had created tension that stretched far beyond music. At the time, Diddy's former bodyguard Gene Deal repeatedly claimed that individuals connected to Death Row Records may have played a role in the violence that followed Tupac's death. Those claims only deepened the mystery because accusations seemed to move in every direction without ever producing a clear final answer.
That was something, that was all West Coast, bruh. That was all in-house. If you ask me, that was all in-house.
So you believe Tupac and Biggie murdered in-house?
I believe Biggie and Tupac was in-house. All had something to do with death row people.
And while those debates kept going for years, another detail from the night Tupac was shot started raising eyebrows among fans. One question people still bring up today involves Snoop Dogg and where he was that night to get out, because he was closely connected to Death Row Records and many expected him to be with the same group in Las Vegas when everything unfolded. But according to producer Warren G, something unexpected happened that night. Instead of being out in Las Vegas with Tupac and Suge Knight, Snoop Dogg reportedly showed up at Warren G's house. That detail has fueled years of speculation, with some fans wondering if Snoop may have sensed that something dangerous was about to unfold. There has never been any confirmed evidence showing that Snoop knew about the attack ahead of time. Still, rumors have floated around for years suggesting that Tupac had already started creating distance between himself and certain people in his circle shortly before the shooting happened. When you mix those old rumors with the newer speculation surrounding Diddy's situation in prison, people online begin building theories that stretch across nearly 3 decades of unanswered questions. The mystery keeps growing because so many pieces of the story still feel incomplete. Even after almost 30 years, Tupac's family has continued searching for answers about what really happened that night in Las Vegas. Reports have said that investigators connected to the family have looked into claims that Diddy may have had some connection to events surrounding the case, although nothing has been proven. If any solid evidence were ever uncovered linking someone in the music industry to the killing, prosecutors could potentially revisit parts of the case or explore additional legal action depending on what new information comes to light. Even if criminal charges were no longer possible after all these years, legal experts have pointed out something important. A civil wrongful death lawsuit could still become an option if strong evidence ever surfaced. That means the story that started back in 1996 might still have more chapters waiting to unfold. And that brings the conversation right back to the rumors now surrounding Diddy's time in prison. Whenever someone tied to a decades-old mystery suddenly ends up in a situation where they could potentially testify or speak publicly, the speculation machine kicks into overdrive. Some people believe the prison chatter about inmates possibly targeting Diddy is just internet exaggeration, blowing things out of proportion. Others argue that if he truly holds information connected to Tupac Shakur's case, there might be individuals who would rather those details never make it into a courtroom. Whether those rumors are real or not, one thing is impossible to ignore. The Tupac case continues to cast a long shadow over the music industry in a way very few events ever have. Nearly 3 decades later, the death of Tupac Shakur remains one of the most talked about and debated crimes in entertainment history. Now, with court proceedings moving forward and old witnesses speaking again, the story has started resurfacing in ways many people never expected. If the full truth about that night ever comes out, it could completely reshape what fans thought they knew about the East Coast-West Coast rivalry and the powerful figures who were operating behind the scenes during that era. So the question people keep asking today isn't just about who pulled the trigger that night in Las Vegas, because investigators already have their own theory about that part. The bigger question still hanging over the entire music industry is much deeper. Who really ordered the hit and who might have been protecting that secret for all these years? And if Diddy ever decides to speak openly about what he knows, the truth could shake the foundation of hip-hop history in a way nobody expected. What do you think really happened behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.